ERi-TV news broadcast crew and I, Delete Sahaya, are now ready for your daily news briefing at 10:30 local time. But first, let us catch up with the major headlines. Ministry of Agriculture confirms proper desert local control operation underway. Graceful Eritrean Community Festival in Canada. South American leaders discuss Amazon protection in Brazil. China launched a new disaster reduction satellite. On our local news, the Ministry of Agriculture has announced that the desert locust infestation, which has occurred on northern Red Sea and southern and central regions from July to 2023, is put under control, according to the report from the Public Relations Office of the Ministry. According to Mr. Tesfit Garazgiher, head of the Crop Development Division and coordinator of Desert Local Control Operation in the northern Red Sea region, untimely rainfall in the eastern lowlands of the region created conducive environment for extensive local breeding, according to vast areas of the Red Sea coastal areas and the local spread in the southern and central regions. Mr. Ephraim Aaron, representing the Migratory Pest Control Unit in the Ministry of Agriculture, on his part disclosed the total of 2,300 hectares of land was infested in 3 regions. He further indicated that the locust infestation is put under control without causing any significant damage to crops, thanks to the coordinated effort made by around 1,800 people, experts and members of Eritrean Defense Forces. The head of Plant Protection Unit in the Central Region, Ms. Haimanot Imbaye, on her part stated that the number of swarm occurrences occurred in the Central Region and indicated that appropriate control measures were undertaken. Residents of Adika and the Central Region, on their part, commended the immediate response and quick locust control measures taken by the Ministry of Agriculture. Finally, the Ministry of Agriculture called upon the stakeholders to remain alert to deal with locust swarms and could possibly come from neighboring countries. Eritrean nationals in Canada held Graceful Community Festival in Toronto from 5th to 7th August under the theme Heroic Feat Anchored by Cohesive Tanks. Numerous nationals from various Canadian cities attended the national festival, which featured a number of programs aimed specifically towards children and young people. Mr. Temesgen Hailab, chairman of the Holidays Coordinating Committee in Toronto, thanked to those who contributed to the graceful gathering of the nationals, noting that consequences and harmonies of the citizens in general, as well as that the communities and organizations, is the beauty of Eritrean community and festivals. The vibrant celebration being organized by nationals, according to Mr. Temesgen, attests the solidarity and strong affection of the nationals have their homeland. He commended the nationals for their enthusiastic participation in the nationals' holiday. For their part, the participants underlined the commitment to increase their continued involvement in their national matters. Members of the 36th round of the national service who are attending the Sawa National Service Training Center to complete their 12th grade education attended a seminar led by Colonel Debesai Gide, the center's commander. Colonel Debesai presented a thorough lecture on rules and regulations that students must abide throughout their 1-year stay in Sawa, outlining the importance of Sawa in developing competent young people. Colonel Debesai urged the students to make use of the resources available to them, compete in their academic pursuits, and learn from one another's background and cultures. The students, on their part, stated that they were prepared to strictly adhere to center's rules and regulations and focus on their education. Dear viewers, we'll be back with the international news shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The 8 countries of the Amazon held summit in Brazil on Tuesday to discuss the challenge facing the largest rainforest in the world. The two-day meeting is taking place in Brazilian city of Belém, and it includes the members of the Amazon Cooperation Treaty Organization, ACTO, a 45-year-old alliance. The group has only met 3 times before in its history, with the last summit having taken place 14 years ago. The presidents of Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, and Peru attended the summit, while Ecuador, Guyana, Suriname, and Venezuela sent their top officials. The Amazon stretches across the area twice the size of India, with 2/3 of its lying in Brazil, and its hosts estimated 10% of Earth's biodiversity, 50 million people, and hundreds of billion trees. Its vast area is known as the vital carbon sink that helps reduce global warming. If it is destroyed, scientists warn it would push it dangerously close to a tipping point beyond which trees could die off and release carbon rather than absorbs, with catastrophic consequences for climate. And ahead of summit, Brazilian Environment Minister Mariana Silva told the ministerial meeting to summit's nation were determined not to let the Amazon reach points of the return. On our last news, China launched a new satellite for disaster reduction from Taiwan Satellite Launch Center in Shanxi Province on Wednesday. The satellite was launched by a Long March 2C Korea rocket at 6:53 a.m. Beijing time and entered the planned orbit. Its primary users will be the Ministry of Emergency Management, the Ministry of Ecology and Environment. The satellite will inform in-orbit network with a similar one launched in space last October, making a primarily satellite constellation for emergency management and environment monitoring. The C-band synthetic departure radar system aboard the satellite can work on cloudy and rainy days, which effectively overcome the shortfalls of the optical satellites. Also, the emergency data processing system on satellite can realize onboard real-time imaging, as well as information extraction and pre-processing or hotspot areas. The satellite will provide basic data for disaster relief and also contribute to land resources, surveys, water conservancies, agriculture, and forestry. The launch was 482 and mission to use the Long March rocket series. Dear viewers, we've come to the end of tonight's news. Let's have a quick recap of the headlines. Ministry of Agriculture confirms proper desert local control operation is underway. Graceful Eritrean Community Festival in Canada. South American leaders discuss Amazon protection in Brazil. And China launched a new disaster reduction satellite. Dear viewers, that's all with our local and international news. Thanks for watching and have a good night.